Tuesdays, aka Call of Duty Update Day. Well, at least sometimes it's Call of Duty Update Day. Today isn't really one of those days. Now, we did get a little bit of new content in Black Ops 4, and for you Xbox and PC users, you got an entire new event today, but as far as PlayStation goes, there was really not that much added. So, as we know, last week, PlayStation got Operation Grand Heist, which introduced a new Blackout map, new multiplayer maps, new tier system, reserves, basically completely revamped the game. Now, that's coming out on Xbox and PC today. However, nothing really changed on PS4 today. So to start things out, let's talk about what Xbox and PC are getting today. You are getting the two new multiplayer maps if you have the Black Ops Pass, Casino and Lockup. One of them is a casino, one of them is a police station. The other thing you are getting is the brand new Blackout map, including the new area Ghost Town. And then finally, the last thing you're getting are the new tiers, reserves, and aka supply drop system that PlayStation 4 got last week. Speaking of PlayStation, what did they get new this week? Well, really not much. In fact, if you go to the featured game modes in multiplayer, absolutely nothing is new. Once again, the main mode is One in the Chamber, which was there last week. We've got Mercenary Objective Mosh Pit, Pro Series Mosh Pit, Map Pack Mosh Pit, and finally, Hardcore Map Pack Mosh Pit. So literally the exact same thing that was there last week. Now, we have had this happen before, I believe 2 other times, where absolutely none of the featured playlists have changed. I believe it was the second week of Operation Absolute Zero and a week during Christmas. Of course, the reason being for this is that the developers are just very busy during this time. You have to remember that as of today, the developers have to make sure everything is working properly on Xbox and PC, so I believe that's why PlayStation's getting such little love this week. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but I did want to talk about the 2 things that were added to PlayStation this week and will be added to Xbox and PC next week. And actually, all of the new things are in Blackjack Shop, the first of which is a new reactive camo for the swordfish that is called the Death Reel. Now, this one costs 500 COD points, and quite honestly, this is probably one of my favorite reactive camos that they've actually released. How different each level of it actually looks is incredible, so I think they did a really good job with this one. But what they did even better than that is the new Firebreak skin. This one's called the Carrot Thief, and honestly, this has got to be my favorite skin ever that's been released in this game. It makes Firebreak look completely different. I love how goofy it is. I think they did an absolute incredible job with this one. The only downside is that it costs 800 COD points, which is quite expensive for just one skin. Also, guys, if you like to stay up to date as fast as possible on these new type of cool things that have been added in the game, whether it's a new weapon or Firebreak skin like this, the first place I update you guys is over on my Instagram. It'll be the first link down in the description. I also keep you guys up to date on my day-to-day life, what I'm doing in the real world. So if you want to check out my Instagram, like I said, it'll be the first link down in the description, and hopefully I'll see you over there as well. But that is what was added this week. The reactive camo, the skin. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all that changed on PS4 this week. They added 2 new items into Blackjack Shop, and that is all. Now, the question is why? Why is there so little that changed this week? And I think the answer is pretty easy. As I mentioned earlier, today is a launch day for Treyarch, which means the new DLC is coming out on both Xbox and PC, which means that is where all of their efforts are going today. And because of that, they can't be launching other things like new game modes for Blackout. They would just be spread too thin at the studio. So that's why there's a lack of content. At least that's what I believe there's a lack of content this week. It's just one of the big reasons why there's a downside to having a week early exclusivity on PlayStation. Another big downside, I've talked about this on stream before, but I've never really talked about it in a video, is the fact that there's that week early exclusivity on PlayStation 4 is one of the reasons why it's extremely difficult if Call of Duty wanted to do crossplay. Because if they wanted to make it so that PlayStation users could play with Xbox users, that would be cool and all, but the problem is PS4 users get weapons, maps, game modes a week before Xbox users do, so it'll be very, very difficult to get those those two things to work hand in hand. It's just one of the many reasons why I think it would be much better for Call of Duty, much better for Activision, much better for the players if they toss that exclusivity out the window. That way, crossplay would be easier for them to implement into the game. And on top of that, I think we'd have less dead weeks like this, because that way they wouldn't have to develop one thing to be launched on one day or 1 week, and then the next week on something else. We'd get constant content on all consoles, and that way this week maybe we'd have new game modes, maybe we'd have a new playlist in Blackout, or maybe we'd just have new items in the black market. Who knows? But personally, that is why I believe there's a lack of content on PS4 this week. It's because this week's all about Xbox and PC. Now, that being said, like I mentioned, there is a lack of content today because of the launch on Xbox and PC. However, that doesn't mean we won't be getting other new things throughout the week. You got to remember, a lot of the time, new playlists for Blackout do launch on Thursdays or Fridays. So it is possible that throughout the rest of the week, we get something new in the game. Now, what that is, I'm not really sure. But speaking about late updates in the week, last week we got one for reserves. Now, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people talk about this, but I did want to give you guys my take on this because it's something that I stressed some pretty strong opinions about last week, how bad the supply drop system was, and quite honestly, they made it better, but by no means is it perfect. So what the hell am I talking about? So last weekend, the supply drop or reserve system got updated in Black Ops 4 to make it so that you could buy a reserve crate that housed 3 items for $2 or 200 COD points, and you could earn reserves naturally through playing the game. Now, to earn one reserve, it essentially took 2.5 hours of in-game playtime, which is complete garbage. On top of that, they removed the reserves after tier 100, so you didn't get anything after completing tier 100. It was a bullshit system. Many people made videos calling out Treyarch and Activision on this bullshit, and they actually managed to change it. They made it so that, first of all, the reserves that we were earning through that little circular wheel system that took 2.5 hours now only takes about an hour to earn a reserve, which is much, much better. On top of that, the tier system is now back, so after tier 100, you were earning more and more reserves, just like you did in the previous events like Operation Absolute Zero. So this is definitely a fantastic change. You earn reserves a lot faster, it's not nearly as greedy, all of that is great, but I think that there are still 2 major problems with this system, and I feel like people are giving them a pass a little bit too easily because they made one good change to the system. So the 2 things that still absolutely need to be changed in this is the way duplicates work. As of right now, you only get a redemption on your 3rd duplicate earned. You get a reroll, and that item doesn't even necessarily have to be the same or better rarity than the one you just got. So you may get an epic item that is a duplicate, but in turn, you get a common, which is super, super annoying. So that's one big problem. I think that all duplicates should be re-rolled, but hey, that's just me. The second thing that needs to be fixed is, as of right now, when you earn camos through reserves, you earn them for individual weapons, which means every single weapon has its own camo, which takes forever to earn, dilutes the pool for reserves, and honestly makes it so that when I get a camo in these, I'm not excited at all. I'm just frustrated. So those are the 2 other things I would change about the reserve system, but I'm happy to see that at least they're listening a little bit and improve the system at least a bit from what it was when they launched it. Now, throughout this video, I guess I haven't given Treyarch enough credit because there was one hidden thing that they actually added that's pretty damn cool. So now in Blackout, there is now a new quick equip system. So they added this kind of last week. They were calling this week's quick equip 2.0, but essentially last week they made it so certain things can stack beyond their normal rate that they do in your inventory. For example, you can still carry 2 trauma kits in 2 different slots, but they'll stack in your quick equip system so that way you can select them easily. Now, they're also stacking things vertically. As you can see, the mesh mine and the concussion are stacked vertically, and you can cycle through them with your left and right bumpers. This makes it a little bit more easy to navigate, get to your items quicker, and really is a pretty good update for Blackout. Now, as I made this video, there were patch notes that came out, and there was one other thing that changed on PlayStation and Xbox, and it's a weapon tuning thing for the Swordfish. So the Swordfish has reduced its aim down sight's move speed slightly, so it's probably not even going to be noticeable. But that is it. That is the only other thing that changed. There was a small patch to engineer to make it work properly against K9 units and strike teams, but that's pretty much it. Now, there's one other thing I would like to talk about, and it's an odd thing. It's weird that it's not in the game, and that is, of course, combat record. Now, combat record was something that Treyarch told us was going to be coming next week in November, like months and months and months ago, and is still not here, and there's no word on it. Nobody's talking about it. I see every once in a while a comment on one of my videos or a comment on Twitter towards Treyarch, but nobody is asking where it is, and it's really, really weird. They said it was coming, and it's just not there. To give you an idea of how much of a staple this is normally in Call of Duty, this has been in Black Ops games since Black Ops 1. Leaderboards were there in World at War. So it's weird that they are not implemented into this game properly. It's weird that you can't see individual weapon stats in game. That is normally a staple in Treyarch games and is something that is just not here in Black Ops 4. So where is it? I don't know. Hopefully it's coming soon. We haven't heard anything about it. Maybe some more people need to tweet at Treyarch or Activision about it. But as of right now, no combat records in the game. So let me know what you think of this update. I know it's a super tiny update. Let me know what you think is going to be coming next week down in the comments. Hopefully it's some new game modes for multiplayer, maybe a new playlist for Blackout, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, let me know what you think of the new skins. I'll be reading all the comments down below. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, the best way to stay up to date on all of my content is make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. On top of that, if you enjoyed the video, I always do appreciate it if you hit that like button. It really does help out the channel and helps out every individual video. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.